I'm back from my Florida holiday, as you have seen in my last video, in which I did a haul of all the things we bought over there. But today I'm just gonna do a little bit of story time and just kind of reminisce about my experience in Florida. So the flight over there was really good. We didn't have any trouble with the flight, which was amazing. Always nice to not have trouble with your flight, especially on a long haul flight. So that was always a good start to the holiday. This was the first time that I'd ever flown like properly by myself. So like I booked the plane tickets, we got to the airport by ourselves. It was very much quite an adult experience. We made it through customs into Florida. We got an Uber to our apartment and we met my dad and his wife there. So we were on holiday with my dad and his wife, but we didn't do very much together apart from share the apartment, go out for dinner a few times, and we went to Animal Kingdom and one of the water parks together. So day one was Magic Kingdom. I couldn't wait to get into Disney and get into Magic Kingdom, so I had planned it for day one. Our fast passes were booked. It was all amazing. I have driven under the Disneyland sign before because I've been to Animal Kingdom before, but never any of the other parks. But it was just such a different experience. It really was so like nerve-wracking and exciting. And then so my dad and his wife dropped us off at the transportation center and we got the monorail into Magic Kingdom. And even just being on the monorail, I was getting so excited. I had just watched a Disney vlog, I can't remember who by now, but my friend had just showed me a Disney vlog like 2 days before we left. We were on the monorail and I was like seeing all the sights that this person had vlogged, like going past me, and I was just like, oh my god, it's real, I am here, I'm actually here in Florida, Disney World. So then we eventually arrived in Magic Kingdom and oh my goodness, it was so good. I definitely feel like I didn't get the full like experience of it because it was our first time there, so we didn't like really know how to go about it, and it was also my first time even on holiday with my boyfriend, so we were both a bit like, oh well, I'll just do what you want to do, I'll just do what you want to do. Definitely didn't take enough pictures in Magic Kingdom, but I'm not too sad about it because I was experiencing it, I was living it. But yeah, so we walked into Magic Kingdom and we turned the corner and I saw the castle, and oh, it was just so cool to see it in person. Also, please ignore the wandering puppy that is about. He will be mentioned in a next video, but for now he's here and causing mischief. And then going down Main Street and just seeing all the shops and all the people, and then we got to the front where they have the Mickey and Walt statue, and for years I've wanted to see it in person, and oh my god, it was just so cool to see it. And then we were just standing there in front of the castle and like I was trying to take a picture to send to my friend and like my hands were literally shaking, like visibly shaking. I just couldn't get over the excitement. So it took us about a good 20 minutes, or took me about a good 20 minutes to kind of settle down and like decide what we wanted to do first, where we needed to go. Our first fast pass wasn't until like 11, so we had like about an hour and a half or something to kill. So we got up the Disney app, which I definitely suggest if you're going to Disney World. The My Disney app is really helpful, especially with the map in it with the wait times, really helpful. So yeah, we just spent most of the day just kind of hanging around, having a really nice time, and obviously we stayed until the fireworks. I can't even describe the feeling you feel when you're watching Happily Ever After with the song and the fireworks and everyone around you just being in that moment. And being there with my boyfriend was especially special, and oh, it just was so good, and I can't wait to go back again. I'm kind of miffed that we didn't go back before we left, we only saw it the once. But oh my god, it was just so nice, and oh, it's just something that I've always wanted to do, to go and see the Disney fireworks in Magic Kingdom. So by day 3 my feet were pretty much giving up the ghost because we'd been walking that much. Now, side story time, I broke my toe at the beginning of February and hadn't got it seen to, and let's just say it hadn't got any better, it had got worse. It wasn't infected, but it certainly wasn't healed. So quite often it's been giving me kind of pains, and it's very sore when I like hit it on anything, even like gently. Like putting on socks was a dangerous task. So by day 3, funnily enough, my feet were just like, what the hell are you doing? What are you doing? So we got into Epcot. We walked up to the Canada Pavilion, and oh, we even walked all the way up to the England Pavilion, and by that point I was just like, I can't do this. But we had a fast pass, I think, for soaring at that point. So we walked back down to the front, and just that walk back to the front was the most excruciatingly painful thing I've ever done. Like, I could barely put any weight on my foot at all. So when we came out, my boyfriend was like, look, you are not gonna have a good day at all if you don't go to the first aid. I was like, look, I've taken paracetamol, I've taken what I can, it's bandaged up, what else can they do? And he said, they could put you in a wheelchair. And guess what? We went up to first aid, I explained the situation, and they gave me a wheelchair. So by day 3 of my holiday, I was wheelbound. Weirdly, the day we spent at Epcot was one of the most fun days of our holiday. I thought it would be really like kind of depressing and really like annoying, because my boyfriend was gonna have to push me round, and obviously when someone's pushing you, they're behind you, so conversation seems like it would be a lot more limited, and it's just not obviously as accessible and easy to kind of get around and see things. So I was so worried about ruining the day and ruining the holiday by being like, my feet being broken and being sore, but Epcot was one of the best days we had. We just had so much fun and laughed so much about just random stuff and taking the piss out of myself for being in a wheelchair. And you know what? Disney is one of the easiest places to get around if you're in a wheelchair. If you are always in a wheelchair, if you need a wheelchair because you've hurt your foot while you're there, if you've broken your toe a few months earlier and it's getting sore, it's a really easy place to get around. And we actually spent our dinner there at a more nicer dinner than a quick service meal. So we went up to Tokyo Dining, and my boyfriend is actually from Tokyo, so he was actually able to speak Japanese to the servers in there, which was quite cool. And actually our server was from the same part of Tokyo as my boyfriend, which was quite cool. I can't remember whether I mentioned in the other video of my haul, but that server in particular also made me this tiny little origami heart, and she was kind of talking to my boyfriend, and when she came back and brought me this, she was like, oh, you're so lucky, you have a really nice boyfriend. And so yeah, so this is like really special because it reminds me of that really great day in Epcot, but also it's a heart. I'm a romantic. I love a bit of romance. So yeah, so that was really nice, and I completely forgot that there even was a fireworks show at Epcot. So when we'd finished our dinner, we'd finished literally just in time to see it. We came down, bought a few souvenirs in the Japan shop, went outside, and the fireworks had started, and it was a really nice show. It's really nice. If you're in Epcot and you're wondering whether you should stay, I think it's worth it. I think it's definitely worth staying around to see it. It's a really nice one, especially because it's over the lake, so you get the kind of reflections of the fireworks and the fire on the lake, which is really nice. When we had finished watching the fireworks, we kind of wheeled our way around to the front, and we definitely wanted to go into Mouse Gear because we knew it was the like biggest shop in the Disney parks. So we went in, and obviously it was quite quiet because people were just like leaving the park. So we were like one of maybe like 3 or 4 groups of people, but within like 5-10 minutes we were the only people in the shop. But we had started to get chatting with one of the cast members who was working there, and she was really nice, and we asked her, you know, what time does the shop shut actually? And she was like, it doesn't shut until the last person leaves, so you can stay as long as you like and we'll still be here. So I mean, as much as I felt bad for kind of keeping them from going home, it was quite nice like not to kind of feel pressured. Because everyone was really nice and they were just kind of like doing their thing and like tidying up the other bits, so it didn't feel like we were kind of intruding too much. But that was the day that my boyfriend bought me the Stitch socks to make me feel a bit better, because even though it'd been one of the nicest days we had that week, it was still kind of like, I still felt bad. The next day we went to Blizzard Beach, which is one of the Disney water parks which I hadn't been to before. And thankfully my foot was relatively okay in the morning, and I got to wear my Ariel swimming costume, my Ariel bikini, which was amazing. So many people were like, oh, Ariel! And like little kids were like kind of pointing and being like, she looks like Ariel. So that was really cute. And then I had planned my outfit so that when we went to Hollywood Studios that afternoon, I was still Ariel. So I had like my mermaid leggings and a little purple like throw on top, and obviously my Ariel ears. So when we got into Hollywood Studios, my boyfriend immediately was like, right, let's find first aid. I was like, oh, what's wrong? Like, I'm okay, what's wrong with you? And he was like, no, we're getting you another wheelchair. And then I felt really bad because I could walk. I could walk, and it was slightly painful, but nothing like as near as bad as the day before. So I felt really bad, and I was like, look, I really don't need a wheelchair today. I'm fine. But he was so adamant, and he was like, look, if you keep walking on it, it's just gonna get worse and the rest of your holiday is gonna be rubbish. Like, I would rather you were in the wheelchair today and then you can walk the rest of the holiday instead of you being in pain for the rest of the holiday. So I gave in. I felt much worse on that day because I felt like I was taking advantage of the system, which isn't right, because he was right. If I had kept walking on it, yeah, my foot probably would have got much worse over the holiday, and I would have been in much more pain the following days, and I wouldn't have had nearly as good a time. So he was right, but I still felt really bad because I could walk fine. But anyway, we spent the afternoon in Hollywood Studios, and one of the best rides is the Aerosmith ride. Oh my goodness, that's so good. That's the only coaster this whole holiday that I properly screamed on. And oh, it was so fun. Really short, but so fun. Again, we totally forgot that Hollywood Studios had a evening parade, nighttime spectacular. So we actually missed that. By the end of that day, I think we were both so kind of tired and exhausted from just kind of parking and walking around, and not me because I was in a wheelchair, but so we were quite tired anyway, so we kind of wanted to go home by that point. And then we went to Animal Kingdom on one of our last days there, with my dad and his wife, and that was really nice. We went there together, but we kind of split up to do our own thing. They really wanted to go on the new Avatar ride. We had a fast pass for the Navi River journey, and yeah, it was super beautiful, really pretty, a really nice kind of slow ride, but not worth waiting any more than an hour to get on. But we also did the safari, which was super fun. I always love the safari and being able to see the animals kind of in a more natural habitat, and you get really quite close to them as well, which was nice. And we also did the Himalaya Everest ride, which is one of my all-time favourite roller coasters in the world. That and the Mummy at Universal is two of my most favourite rides. Then in the evening when we were meeting up with my dad and his wife to go home, we were waiting on them outside the dinosaur ride, and then Chip and Dale came out in their dinosaur costumes and they were having like a full-on jam sesh like in the middle of the park, and obviously it was made mainly for kids, but I was totally getting into it. I really wish someone had filmed me like having a good old boogie because it was so fun, and I was just kind of like on the like outside. There's all these like little kids that singing and dancing like in the middle with Chip and Dale and the like host person, and oh, but I was just like, I was totally in it. I would have totally been in there if I was like 5. But when they left to go pee and come back, I actually got a high five from one of them. I can't remember whether it was Chip or Dale, but I definitely got a high five from one of them, so day made. And of course I can't talk about Florida without Universal. So we went to Universal in 2 days. We did most of kind of the Universal side in one day, most of Islands in the other day. So every day we were there, it was pretty much guaranteed to thunderstorm around 4 or 5 o'clock. Pretty much every day there would be a thunderstorm, really heavy rain, thunder strikes. Outdoor rides would be closed in any park you went to, but you don't really pay attention to the time when you're in theme parks. It kind of just floats away. So the second day that we were in Universal, it was one of those days. We were walking around, having a nice time. We realised we hadn't even been on the Hulk yet. So we went down to the Hulk and they had just reopened it after a rainstorm. So we shoved our bags in the teeny tiny lockers. They need to make those lockers bigger. They're so small. We went and queued inside and we were getting further and further to the front, and it was going really well. And we got to the front. We literally got on the train, sat down, pulled the bars over our heads, and they were like, "I'm sorry, we've had to shut the ride because of incoming thunderstorms." Great. So we had just spent about an hour waiting to get on the Hulk, and then it was shut. So obviously they never know how long it's going to be shut for, so we're kind of like, do we leave? Do we stay and chance it? We're like literally right at the front now. So we stayed, but obviously because you have to take everything off, you have to take your watches off, you have to take your phones off you, we had no concept of time. So we could have been stood there for 40 minutes, we could have been stood there for an hour and 40 minutes. I have no idea how long we stood there for. But we waited and it didn't reopen. So eventually we're like, let's just leave. There's no point in us wasting our holiday just sitting around. So we left, wandered about a wee bit, and then decided that the Hulk still wasn't on, so it was my time to get my Cinnabon of the holiday. I can't go to Florida or London without getting a Cinnabon because we don't get them in Scotland. So whenever I go to London and whenever I go to Florida, I have to get at least one Cinnabon for the holiday. So we decided to do that. I got my Cinnabon and my root beer, and we're sitting eating and drinking our drinks right outside the Cinnabon shop, which is like about, I don't know, 10 meters away from the Hulk. So we're sitting there about halfway through my Cinnabon and one car comes out, but it's empty. Another car comes out, it's empty. A third car comes out, it's filled with people. So literally as soon as I'd finished eating my Cinnabon, it had come back online. But I get travel sick at the best of times, so eating a full Cinnabon and then going on the Hulk is not a good idea. It was kind of just destiny that we never got on the Hulk. One other thing I regret about the holiday was not getting on the Hulk, because my boyfriend would have really liked it. I quite like the Hulk. It's a really good roller coaster. It's one of the only like proper coasters, so never mind. We hung around till my dad and his wife came in, and we all went up to the Hogwarts castle, and they do a light show, which was actually pretty cool. It was quite nice. It was just kind of like a projection onto the castle, but they have really limited information. They don't have like days or times. Like, it's a really weird setup. But yeah, you should definitely ask a member of staff in Universal if you're there to see whether the Hogwarts light show will be on, because it was worth watching, but weird that it just didn't say anything about it anywhere. So all in all, it was a really good holiday. And then we came home, and it's so strange that holidays are just over in a flash. It's one of the things I hate about holidays is when you come back and it's like the holiday almost never happened. But I definitely feel like we took that happiness from Magic Kingdom and Epcot and Animal Kingdom and Hollywood Studios and Universal and all the places we visited. We took that happiness from those days and definitely brought it back. I'm pretty sure we brought the sun back too, because it's been bloody roasting in Scotland recently. I can't wait to go back. Anyway, I should probably head off. My puppy is completely laid out dead asleep on the floor next to me, so I think it's bedtime. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you next time. Bye! This is what my puppy looks like at the moment. This is baby Arlo. He's fast asleep. It's definitely bedtime.